one of the biggest realizations I had is that my life purpose is for me. It's not for other people. I don't need to explain it to anybody. I don't need to convince anybody that I'm choosing the right thing. I'm choosing what I want to dedicate my life to based on my desires, based on my wants, based on the world that I want to create. Okay, let's get going. Hello and welcome to Big Creatrix Energy. I'm your host, Gabriella Rosie, and I'm very excited today to talk about the big, juicy topic of life purpose and finding out, or more so, creating what your own personal life meaning is, and really figuring out what you personally want to spend your time and your energy creating in your life and in the world. So I have had so many different times in my life where I think I've figured out my life purpose, only for me to get the thing or create that thing and have that success and realize, oh, now I have to find or create a new life purpose. Now I have to have something else that I'm working towards. And I think this can feel really draining and really exhausting if we're seeing it from the wrong light. It can seem really like we're constantly going for just another dangling carrot, or we're trying to fit ourselves into whatever mold of society and success that, we've observed from the people around us or the things that we consume. And it can feel never ending, trying to figure out the one single thing that you have been, put on this world to do is a mammoth task. There's this real desire to make things neat and to make things make sense. If only I can just find this simple, concise sentence that explains everything that I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing. And that sounds really attractive because then it's going to give us direction. That's the thing that's going to dictate the choices that I make in my life. And as humans, we seem to naturally really want to have some order or some sense of control, because the undercurrent, understanding is that there is no control. There is no one way of doing things. There is no, you figure this out and then the rest of life is taken care of. The reality of life purpose and finding your meaning, at least what I've found, is I've been able to have some successes and I've been able to decide what my purpose is and what my meaning is and the things that I really want to create and the things that I want to put my energy to. And in being so lucky as to actualize a lot of those things, what happens is we constantly shift through the process of creating something, through the process of actualizing one stage of your life purpose. You change, you develop, and with that, your purpose develops as well, and what you're capable of creating in this world develops. And so what I'm really starting to understand is that our relationship with our life purpose, or the meaning that we subscribe to, is in a state of constant growth. Along with us, it's constantly going to be evolving. And instead of getting really overwhelmed by that and feeling like we're constantly chasing something that we're never going to grasp, I really like to see it as this is really what life is about. This is the journey of being able to evolve and the journey of being able to become different versions of yourself and create different things in the world. And I'm definitely not the first person to say it, but finding your life purpose, finding the meaning for your life is definitely a journey and not a destination. There's no one point that you're going to come to and be like, shit, I know everything. It's impossible to ever come to a point where you're like, this is exactly what I want to do and this is what I want to do forever. And I think a lot of the conversations around figuring out what you want to do with your life have this get shit figured out by the time you turn 30 and then what? And then what, guys? The general plan of aiming towards figuring out your life, aiming towards having everything sorted out, that is life. That is what happens in life. We constantly figure things out. We constantly want new things. And I've seen this in myself where I have been so hungry to have the answers and to have some pattern and rhythm to life that I feel like I can bet on, something that feels really secure. But the reality is, once I've achieved that certain thing, or once I've felt that level of security, naturally I've already evolved beyond it and I want different things and I want novelty, I want new things, I want new experiences. There is nothing that could be enough to satisfy you for the rest of your life. And that's the simple facts of it. You could have all of the things, all of the material things that you think you desire, if they were bestowed upon you at age 30, then you would just simply invent new things that you want to spend the rest of your life doing. And really, like over the last couple of years especially, I've felt it so much where I have largely most of the material things that I want, and any extension beyond that is a better house or a better car or more clothes in my wardrobe or more stuff. And that doesn't feel very exciting. That doesn't feel like it's my life purpose of just accumulating bigger and better and more expensive stuff. So even if you achieve the level of material success that you want, that does not dictate your life purpose. That is not what you are here to do. And instead, we get the opportunity to look inward and look at what we really, really want to create and how we want to be spending our time. How do you want to be spending your days? Personally, I just don't know if finding the meaning of your life or finding the purpose of your life is necessarily the right question to be asking. Or I don't think it really prompts the kind of questions, the kind of responses that I want to be having in terms of, the life I'm thinking about creating for myself. So instead, what I want to think about is, how am I spending my days? Like, what am I gradually building piece by piece? Am I actually enjoying my life? Because we can have this dangling carrot and constantly be pursuing something that's bigger in the future, to attain in the future. And all that does is keep us for our entire lives. We can be distracted by this future vision and never really contemplate how we're spending our days, the satisfaction we have on a day-to-day basis, and how it truly actually feels to be living our life and to have the experience of being who you are right now. So instead, when I'm thinking about mapping together this new vision for my life, I'm focusing on, what do I want to be doing today? What do I want to be doing this week, this month, over the next year? What kind of experiences do I want to be having? And what kind of actions are going to make it easier for me to have those experiences? I don't actually need to worry about what I'm going to be doing in 20 years on a day-to-day basis right now, because as soon as I take action on the projects that I'm working on now, the things that I want to explore now, they're opening new doors, or they're telling me things that I do want to do or things that I don't want to pursue anymore. So it's only in the doing and the figuring out of the steps available to me now, the things I want to play with now, that I can then see the next step that might come after that. So you could go in and you could plan out the biggest 10, 20-year life plan ever, but I promise you it's going to change. The landscape in front of you is going to change based on the actions you take next. And the thing that's going to really propel you to be able to achieve big things in the long term is focusing on what's available to you now, the projects that you're available to take action on now. We can waste so much time trying to map things out, trying to plan, trying to figure out what we're going to do, and that doesn't actually result in anything. You can have the best plan in the world, but if you don't do anything about it, about where you want to go now, you're not going to get anywhere, right? So what I'm bringing forward for you today are some, I think, better questions that can help you figure out what it is that you do want to dedicate a good chunk of your time and your energy to now, and the purpose you want to assign to your own life. So I touched on this idea of doing it for the journey, right? Doing the things that you enjoy and doing as much of the things you can appreciate and enjoy in your life on a day-to-day basis. So you're not simply, suffering to get to an end goal, but you're actually able to just live in nirvana right now, have the experiences that you want now. And for me, I think that comes in the satisfaction that comes from making progress towards creating a bigger project. So I am obsessed with creativity, obviously, and with making things and bringing ideas to life. So for me, I get a huge amount of satisfaction through actively working on something, through seeing something come together bit by bit, through feeling my own skills evolve and feeling myself, feeling my personality evolve by allowing myself to actually follow the things that turn me on and make me excited about life. Keeping these projects as ideas in notebooks is just going to make me even further away. I can taste the ideas, I can taste the feelings of what it is that I want, but if I keep them at a distance by keeping them locked away as only ideas, I'm actually holding myself back from the experiences that I want and the experiences that I can start having by just taking baby steps towards it, by just taking little bits of action to doing the things that I want to do and enjoying that. I don't need to be the best person in the world. I don't need to have the best skills at something, but I can enjoy the process of learning it and already enjoy it there. So I really see satisfaction as coming from making progress, working on the thing, allowing ourselves to indulge in the experiences that interest us. And then long-lasting fulfillment, I really see that as something that comes from making the right progress. And the idea of right is obviously so specific to each person and the specific things that you want to do and the specific journey that you want to go on. So picking the right things, that is understanding how to pick the things that are in alignment with how you want to be spending your days and in alignment with the type of future you want to create for yourself. I see it as this day-to-day satisfaction and then this long-lasting fulfillment, and bringing in that short-term and long-term view of how you are living out your life purpose, or at least exploring your life purpose. That seems to be like the hot little middle ground for me. Like, we don't just want to push everything off to the future, and we don't only want to just have immediate satisfaction now. It's the blend of both of them. One thing that I absolutely have to touch on here is that your purpose doesn't come from outside of you. It's not going to come from someone telling you what you should be doing. And it's not going to come from somebody validating your ideas enough that you're able to be like, okay, I'll pick that one because so-and-so said so, or they think that this is the best choice. You don't need to convince anyone that you are choosing the right thing to focus your time and energy on. And I think there is a great amount of power and also a great amount of satisfaction that can come from you having the conviction in your own decisions, of deciding that this is the thing you want to work towards, and you don't need to convince other people that you're choosing the correct thing, or you don't need to explain yourself if you're choosing something, especially that might be different from what the people around you are choosing to focus their lives around. In those situations, it's going to be even harder to try and convince people that you're choosing the right thing for your life, because they clearly have a different vision for how they're living their lives. When you're making decisions about your life and when you're making plans, or even if you're just thinking about something, if you're contemplating a project that you want to do or something that you want to try out, how quick are you to, book the class, book the ticket, start doing the thing because you've had the idea? Or how quick are you to ask other people's opinions before you let yourself begin? For you to outsource your credibility, for you to outsource your inspiration even to other people. Shall I do this thing? Do you think it's a good idea? As much as you can, try to limit yourself from asking those questions. Absolutely seek people who have done a similar thing that you can get guidance from, that you can get tips from, that can help you along in the process. But ultimately, if you want to do something, that should first come from you, and your eagerness to take action can't be dependent on whether other people approve of it or get it or not. Okay, so let's talk about some things that you can do that can help you identify what it is that you might want to choose to focus your energy on, that you might want to choose as your own life purpose, right? So I really think we get to decide what our life purpose is, and we will be continually deciding what our life purpose is. I really see it as something as like, this is the grand project that I'm focusing my energy on. It's probably going to be broken down to like a few different projects within that thing, but what is the larger vision that you feel compelled to bring to life? That's what I think about when I think about life purpose. I don't see it as something that's bestowed upon you by anything or anyone else. It's genuinely something where it's like, this is what feels like a really positive and impactful way for me to use the time and energy that I do have. And it's something that is fulfilling, that ultimately you enjoy doing it and it feels like a positive use of your time, opposed to doing things that, just fill the time, just don't make you feel more excited about life, that drain you to your core. Having something and having an idea of the things that make you feel good, that allow you to express yourself and explore yourself, that is such a great way to spend your life, in my opinion. So what can you do to figure out what you want to have as your life purpose? What do you want to focus on? What do you want your vision to be? This really comes from identifying what your core values and what your passions might be. And the beautiful thing about this is these always change. And this is why your life purpose is something that's constantly going to be evolving. And it's really just our job as individuals to stay connected to ourselves and allow ourselves to explore our interests and new interests as and when they emerge. Allow yourself to take a pottery class because it feels like a fun thing to do without necessarily having to have an end goal or something that comes out of it. So think about the activities, think about topics, think about type of people even that really interest you and excite you and energize you. Those are going to be your clues at what you can research, look into a little bit more, explore deeper. And it's really about following one clue to find the next clue, doing something, signing up for a class, and you might meet a person there who tells you about something else, or reading one book and it leads you on to another book and another, and really letting yourself go down these little wormholes of what interests you, letting yourself be turned on by life. There's usually the common question of asking what you're good at. I don't necessarily think that that's the best indication of what you want to spend a bulk of your life doing, because usually we're good at the things that we've just been doing, and you may have just been doing a certain sport or a certain activity because you did it when you were younger and you just kept on doing it. Instead, I think it's a much better question to ask yourself, like, what do you truly enjoy doing? Or what do you see other people and you're like, shit, I wish I could do that thing. I wish I could be the person who does that thing. But you might be like, it's not for me. I didn't start that at age 5, so I can't do it. Noticing those things that you see in other people that seem really exciting to you, and noticing the barriers that you might have that come up when you think about it, of like, this is only for certain type of people, or I don't have the skills for that, or I don't have the talent for that. Let me promise you, you can learn how to do almost anything in this world. When it comes to life purpose, talent doesn't really hold much bearing, because we're talking about what you're going to spend your life, a whole huge chunk of your life at the least, dedicated to doing this thing. So it starts to become increasingly irrelevant how much innate talent you might have at something, because the thing that differentiates people who are able to do something to a mastery level is not just how they were born, the skills that they may have been born with, the talents they may have been born with, but what they do about it, how much time and energy you put into something. And when it starts to go beyond just the base level, talent becomes pretty irrelevant. It's about how much energy you're willing to give to something, and that's kind of the missing piece, right? Like, if you are choosing something to focus your time and energy on that you love, you have this like secret reserve of energy that you're able to tap into. When we allow ourselves to indulge in our passions and the things that we love to spend time doing, we're able to do it longer. We're able to show up and work on the projects even more than if it was something we didn't give a shit about. And it's because of that energy reservoir we have towards the things that we are truly passionate about, that we really care about. That's the thing that gives us the advantage of being able to do things to an elite level, because we're willing to put the work in to figure out how to do things in a different, new way. We're able to show up day in, day out, regardless of motivation, because we have a bigger vision of something that we're creating. And that is something that is hugely, hugely beneficial in terms of devoting yourself to the thing that you really love to do, because you're going to be able to go further than anybody else who doesn't love that thing at doing it. So that's really like, there is real true wisdom and there's true logic to finding out what you're passionate about. It isn't just about like, oh, enjoy the life you're living. Of course, that's the base goal. But there are these untapped qualities that I don't think enough people talk about on a big scale, of when you choose to dedicate your time to things that you really value and you want to see more of in the world, then you're able to tap into your extra energy reserves and do things with intention, do things with passion that allows you to propel yourself even further. So if you're at a point where you don't necessarily know what it is that you want to dedicate your life to, you can see the things that, what do you enjoy doing? What can you spend time doing? And like, you're not counting the clock, you're just, time whizzes by, 5 hours pass and you're scribbling away, you're working on this thing and it feels just good. It's how you want to spend your time. That is an indication of something that you can explore even further and allow yourself to continue working on, continue developing your skills at, continue exploring different ways that you might want to tap into that thing that you love. That's ultimately getting to know yourself, right? Getting to know yourself through the things that you feel pulled and drawn toward. And a lot of knowing yourself and knowing what it is that does excite you is really helpful, but also something that I find is maybe more of a clear indication is finding the things that I don't like and finding the things that I don't want to do. Having certain jobs and realizing that that was absolutely not how I wanted to spend my life, or figuring out things where, even in my own business, where I'm like, this isn't what I want to be doing. Let's get that out of the picture and figure out how I can get it more in the direction of things I do enjoy. Vivian, she's squeaking this toy. It's always this toy. Something you can do that makes it easier to connect with your own intuition or your own inner knowing of what you do enjoy and what you don't enjoy is allowing yourself to disconnect from the mainstream narrative of what you should want. And this can come in people you know, people in your life. This has come from online so much, from media, whatever it might be. But we absorb so much information that tells us what a successful life is or what things we should aim for. So much of advertising is quite literally that, telling us what we should want. And it gets very loud. It gets very difficult to understand the difference between what you want really and what you want because you feel like you should want it. And honestly, I think the best way to get clarity on what you really want because you want it, not because you're being told you want it, is to step away and to disconnect yourself as much as possible from the same old shit, the same old things that people are telling you, companies are telling us what we should want. How can you strengthen your own voice? How can you follow the clues that are interesting you? Not just reading the books that are on the top 10 list of the month, but figuring out what are the things you really want to learn about? What are the things that you really want to explore? And this really plays a big role in terms of people in your life and whose opinions you're asking for, who you're going to tell your vision to or tell your dreams to. It's very important to consider who you are consulting and what it is that you're consulting them about. What do you want from the exchange? Do you want validation? Do you want them to, give you approval for you wanting that thing or that type of lifestyle? And also, it's really important to understand when we are going to people and sharing what it is that we want or expressing our own visions, to ask ourselves, is this a person who gets it? I think it's really important to consider whose opinions we are asking as well. When it comes to sharing your vision and your life purpose and the things that you want to create, your project ideas, whatever it might be, who is it that you are consulting? And what is it that you want? What are your expectations from these conversations? Do you want this person to give you approval? Do you want this person to give you validation or feedback? Because they are available, and it's such a natural human thing to want to relay ourselves to other people and to get ourselves reflected back, right? We want that. We want people to understand us. We want people to evolve our ideas with even. But we also have to be really considerate of whether this person is going to get it or not, or whether this person is going to be able to see that future reality for us right now. And I think there's a real power in holding our visions close to ourselves and being able to have conviction in our decisions and not needing as much validation from other people, not needing to consult with people, and being able to be really firm in wanting to do something for ourselves and going ahead and doing it, and waiting until you finish the project, you have the final thing to share with people and letting them enjoy that. And it's also really important to consider, like, if you are going to people and asking them to see your full vision and asking them to understand what it is that you want. When you're going to other people and wanting to share your vision, wanting to share your ideas of what you want to create with your life, it's really important to consider where that person's coming from and whether you would want their life, or whether they're going to understand the place you're coming from with even holding this vision and having these passions. Is it something they're going to get? And if not, they're probably not going to be a good person to bring your ideas to, because they're only going to make you doubt yourself. And especially in like the early stages of working on something, before we have a lot of proof to share, we're going to be a bit shaky with our ideas. We're going to be a bit shaky with our conviction. And it's really important to protect our ideas and protect our ability to dream. So think about who you are bringing your vision to, and whether it's even crucial for you to share it. I can speak a lot on this, and I think I need to make a whole separate video about it, because I know I'm going down a hell of a tangent right now. But I just want you to be careful with who you share your ideas with, and to be protective about your ideas and your dreams, because that is something that you have to keep that fire burning within you, and you don't actually need everybody else in the world to get it ever. And definitely in the early stages, you don't need people to see the vision for you. You can see it for yourself, and you can hold it for yourself as you're bringing it to life. So my biggest tip in terms of actualizing your life purpose or living a really inspired life is really to pick something and to start taking action on that something. And I think this is really the crucial part of everything that I'm sharing here, because we're never going to have a fully concrete, solid, every single detail taken care of it for the next rest of our lives, basically plan for what it is that you want to do. And for the most part, I think most of us are probably going to feel like we have some kind of clue, some kind of inkling of what we want to do, but we don't have the full picture fleshed out. And it can feel like we have to have the full picture fleshed out before we start. And that is quite literally the opposite of what is true. What is true is that you get to pick the thing you feel excited by now. You get to pick something that you are really passionate about, something that you do want to explore, something that you want more of in your life, and you get to make the executive decision to start taking action on that thing and to explore that and to follow the clue and see where it takes you. And in doing that, that's how you're able to reveal the bigger picture that turns into your life purpose. I honestly think it just living an inspired and fulfilling life comes down to you taking action and following your intuition as you go. You get to start pursuing your purpose right now, and you get to create it. You get to continually create your life purpose as you go, to switch things around, to let it be something that is continually in a process of evolution and in motion. It's not something that's solid and concrete, because you aren't, the world isn't, everything is switching up. And if you release this need to have something that's finite and exact and specific, and you allow the reality of this wiggly world and the changes that are inevitably constantly going to happen, if you let that actually be your guide, instead of it feeling like the flow of the world is getting in the way of your life purpose, understanding that that is always how it's going to be. You're going to be continually course shifting. I like to think of it as the idea of I can hold a vision in my mind of where I feel like I want to go. I have a feeling of the type of person I want to be, the type of projects I want to do, the life I want to be living on a day-to-day basis. I have a loose feeling and idea of that. And I like to think about that as like, that's kind of the destination, right? That's the thing that we would put in the sat nav of the universe of like, this is where I want to go, give me directions. But what happens when we put directions in our phone, when we're like driving somewhere, we don't put the direction in the phone and then look for like the coordinates of like, okay, this is southeast. And then you don't just direct your car southeast and then accelerate at like 120k, right? What's going to happen is to get to that destination, there is going to be a pathway, there is going to be roads, right? And we're going to take multiple different directions. We can set off going north, even though our intention is to go southeast, and you're going to be doing roundabouts and you're going to be taking different roads and taking shortcuts and blah, blah, blah. Let's not get into like sat nav details, but to get to a specific place, you don't always have to be locked in direction purely towards that target to get there. There are going to be roundabout ways that take you to your destination. There's going to be things along the way. We all know I love to stop for snacks, so enjoy it. Once you have some idea of what excites you, of what you want to be doing, you can just decide to take action. You can get in the car and you can go in the direction. You can start the journey right now, and you don't need to overplan. You don't need to have a 20-step plan. You only need to know the first step, and to do that, to get started on that. And when you do that, the next step, the next road is going to reveal itself in front of you. And look, this whole conversation, this is why I'm so obsessed with creativity and personal evolution, because I really see it as this lifelong journey and this lifelong opportunity we have to take ourselves to new places and to do things that we don't even expect of ourselves, to really blow ourselves away. To position yourself to do that, you have to be flexible. You have to be willing to see new things and to see new opportunities as you go, and mostly be willing to be the person who's showing up and taking action and available for those opportunities, because they will come when you're available to them. Your life purpose, it's going to change. It's going to be continually unfolding in front of you. And your only job is to start showing up for what you want to be experiencing now, what you want more of in the world, for taking action to be satisfied and to bring your projects to life, to bring the experiences you want into your world. And you don't need to have every single thing figured out for you to start. And you can only figure it out by a symptom of showing up every day for the vision that you're creating and for the way that you want to feel as you progress through your life. We can talk forever about the type of world that we want to make or the plans that we want to do, but none of that really means anything in comparison to what you're doing today. What are you taking action on right now? What type of person are you being today? This is what your life is comprised of, who you show up as every single day. And no matter how big the vision is that you might hold, or how big your desires are for doing something that's impactful and meaningful with your life, I promise you it's all going to come down to the action that you take on a day-to-day basis, the way that you show up for yourself, for your vision, for the people in your community. It all comes down to taking little baby steps, truly. I think what I most want you to get from this video is the understanding that it's impossible to have your life purpose all figured out at any point in your life, because it's going to change. It's going to continually change. And I want that to be a really freeing and a really empowering thought for you, so you're able to Stop trying to overplan everything. Stop trying to figure everything out, and instead start showing up for where you are now, who you are now, and how you want to enjoy your life today. You don't have to have a clean-cut statement about the type of person you are and what you're doing. It's not something that's getting graded by somebody. No one's like assessing whether you have a good enough life purpose or not. It's really not that serious. Instead, you get to decide what your own life purpose is, and you get to evolve the meaning of that because it gives you something that is exciting to work on, because it gives you something to direct your energy to that feels really fucking good. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can be, do, and have anything and everything that you desire. I'll speak to you in the next one. Bye.